In this video, we are going to cover several topics like looping statements, for loop, range-based for loop, while loop, jump statement, break and continue, more on loops, nested loops. Looping statement. Python provides two kinds of loops, for loop and while loop, to represent counting loop and conditional loop respectively. The for loop. The for loop of Python is designed to process these items of any sequence such as list or a string one by one. For loop are traditionally used when you have a block of code which you want to repeat a fixed number of times. The Python for statement iterates over the members of a sequence in order executing the block each time. Contrast for the for statement with the while loop used when a condition needs to be checked each iteration or to repeat a block of code forever. In for loop, you are already knowing that how many times a particular set of statement will be repeated. So in for loop what we do, we have a loop variable and we are having a range, means how many times a particular set of statement repeats. In the example you can see here, for x in range 0 to 3, print we are on time. In this, x is a loop statement which will execute for the value 0, 1 and 2. In the range function we will discuss later. Here you are seeing the flow chart of for loop. For each item in sequence, it will test a condition. If the condition is within the range, then the body of the for loop will execute, and if the limit is reached, then it will exit the loop. You can see here on the screen, for loop keep on executing unless you reach to the last item. If you reach to the last item, it will exit the loop, but if you are not at the last item, then the body of for loop will execute, which is containing. Here you can see syntax of a for loop. Here you are for variable in sequence statements to repeat, means this is command. Here is a loop variable, here is a range or sequence given, and after that you will have a colon, which you can see here in the example, and statement which is to be repeated unless or until loop reaches to the end. So here you are having loop variable name element in range given different values like 10, 15, 20, 25. So when this set of statement will execute, what is going to happen? The element will be initialized by the value 10, and then it will print element plus 2, that is 12, and after that again element will be initialized by 15 and it will print the value 15 plus 2, 17, and then it will reach to 20. Element will be initialized to 20 and it will print 20 plus 2, 22. After that again it will become 25 and it will print 25 plus 2, 27. Every for loop is intended and it is having a colon at its end, and here you can see indentation before the print. So all the commands which are having the same indentation are the part of for loop. When the element value reaches to 25, then this for loop gets terminated. Now see the range-based for loop. The range-based for loop for number-based list, you can specify a range function to represent a list. In the example for val in range 3 to 18, it will print val. So the val variable will have the value 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 17, means less than the last value. Here you can see it will have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up to 17, means up to 18 minus 1. You need not to define the loop variable val earlier before the for loop. It is directly defined when you are using it in the for loop. As mentioned, a range produces an integer number sequence. The range can be defined in three different ways. You can see first range is having only stop statement. In this, the element of the range function will be from 0 to stop minus 1, and every time the element is increased by 1. In the next, you are having two values, start and stop. So element starts from the start, but it is having the range up to stop minus 1, and this time also it is increased by 1. Range function can have three different arguments, start, stop and step also. Here the start will be the starting value and the last value will be stop minus 1, you can see, and every time here now it is increased by step. If step is negative, then start value should be greater than stop value. The start value is always part of the range. The stop value is never part of range. That's why you are always getting up to stop minus 1. Step shows the difference between two consecutive values in the range. If start value is omitted, means here you can see no start value, it is supposed to be 0. If the step is omitted, it is supposed to be 1. Now here the different examples are used to explain you. If you are taking 7, means it will be from 0 to 7 minus 1, that is 6. Here you are having 5 to 12 minus 1, means 5 to 11. Here you are having again 5 to 13 minus 1, means 5 to 12, but every time 5 is increased by 2 because here the step is given 2. So 2 when you are increasing after 11, 12 will not come. Here in the range you can see the start value is greater than the stop value and step is not negative, that's why it is not giving any output. But when the start value is greater than and starting value is less than and step is negative, it will give from start value minus 1 every time and it will reach up to the last value plus 1, that is 5. So hopefully you understand range function with all these examples, and you can see now the next program. In this program, I is a loop variable in range 15 to 21, means the value of I will be 15, 16, 17 up to 21 minus 1, that is 20, and you can see the output. This print statement ends with a space, and next print statement square root is not here, you can see 3. So here you are having cube I raised to the power 3. So 15 raised to the power 3 means 15 cube is 3375. Like that all the cubes are given here, you can see. Now we'll discuss while loop. A while loop is a conditional loop that will repeat the instruction within itself as long as the condition remains true. That boolean true may be of any type. So the general syntax of a while loop contains a logical expression and loop body. This loop body keep on executing unless this condition gets fail. So if the condition in the logical expression is true, this loop body will continuously keep on executing. We use while loop where we don't know that how many times we will execute the loop, but we are knowing that what should be the condition to execute the statement again and again. So where the loop body may contain a single statement or multiple statement or an empty statement like pass statement. The loop iterates while the logical expression evaluates to true. When the expression becomes false, the program control passes to the line after the loop body, that is the next statement after while loop. Here you can see flowchart of while loop. Here we are representing a condition. This condition is tested. If this condition is true, then the set of statement in the body of while loop will execute. Again, a condition is tested. If this condition is true, then a certain set of statement in the body of while loop will execute, and again it will go for testing the condition. This set of statement will execute again and again when the condition is true. When the condition gets false, then it will go out of the while loop to the next statement which is not in the loop. In this program, we will see that we will multiply two numbers n1 and n2 without. So n1 is initialized to count, means n1 times we will do what, we will add n2 to n2 again. Like if 4 is the n1 and 5 is n2, in that case we will add 5 to 5 4 times, means we will add 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. So when we will add 5, 5, 5, 5, it will become 20. So here n1 times we will execute this loop, and every time we will decrease count by 1 and we will add n2 to the product. Initially product is 0, so here number 1 is 4, so 4 times we will add 5 to 5, so we are getting 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, that is 20. We will also discuss jump statement. There are two types of jump statement we are going to discuss here: break and continue. A break statement skips the rest of loop and jumps over the statement following the loop. Here you can see a while loop is there, and in while loop you are having a break. Break statement will skip statement 2 and statement 3 in while loop, and when the break statement will execute after this if condition, the loop will go to the statement 4. Statement 2 and 3 will be skipped. The same thing break statement is doing here in the for loop also. The break statement, when executed, it will skip statement 2 and 3 and it will reach to the statement 4. In this way, a loop will be terminated after skipping these two statements, statement number 2 and 3, when break statement is executed, and control will execute the statements after loop. Here you see a program. We are doing here initialization of 3 variables, then we are having I from 1 to 10. These many times we will enter two numbers, and if the second number is equal to 0, we will print this message and we will break, and control will come to the print program over. If b is not equal to 0, in that case it will divide and it will print the quotient. So for 10 different numbers it will ask to enter two numbers a and b, and it will test whether b is 0 or not. If b becomes 0, then in that case it will print this message, and after that control will come to the end of for loop, that is print program over. So This was the explanation of the previous program. Here you can find out for terminating the loop what you are supposed to do. You have to enter the second number be 0 so that break statement will execute and that break statement will terminate the loop. Now another statement is continue statement. Unlike break statement, continue statement forces the next iteration of the loop to take place and it will skip only the code between that. So we will see in the next statement. Here you can see in while loop when you are having if condition and this condition is true, continue statement will execute and it will skip statement 2 and 3, but loop will not be terminated but it will go to the next iteration of the loop. Here also in for loop, when the continue statement is executed after this if condition is true, then it will skip statement 2 and statement 3, but loop will not terminate and it will reach to the next iteration of the for loop, and in this way loop will continue and only statement 2 and 3 will be skipped. This was not the case in break. In break, the loop was also terminated and the control goes to the end of the loop. We'll discuss something more on the loops. The loop else statement. Python loops have an optional else clause. The complex syntax of Python loops along with else clause is given below. For variable in sequence statement 1 and statement 2 and else other statements are given here. So this else part will execute when the for loop reaches to its end. In that case, the statement after the else will be executed. You can see here in while loop test condition is given. In while loop also, when this condition is true, statement 1 and 2 keep on executing, but when this statement gets false, in that case this else part will be executed and then control will go to the next statement. Or for loop has executed for the last value in the sequence, but when the break statement terminates the loop, else part will not execute. Here you can see we are having a for loop with the set of statement. Unless this element reaches to the end of the sequence, this set of statement keep on executing one after the another, and again it will check for the next value of element in the sequence. When the element takes all the values in the sequence, this execution of this set of statement terminates and control goes to the next set of statement that is out of else suit. In while also this thing is available, that when the test condition is true, it will keep on executing this set of statements one after the another, and when this test condition becomes false, then in case this test condition is false, it will not execute this part, but it will come here and it will execute the else suit, and after that control will go outside the loop. So when else part is available either in for, then it is executed after the loop and then other statements are executed. In the same way in while also, when the condition is false, in that case the loop else suit will be executed and then the other statement. But suppose in between a break executes, then this part is skipped and only the statement outside the loop is executed. In this program, a loop variable a will have the value 1, 2 and 3, and every time when a is divided by 8 and remainder is 0, break statement will execute. But in the range 1, 2 and 3, never the remainder will be 0 and this break statement never will execute, but this print statement will print the value of a every time, which is in the for loop. So first time a will be 1, then 2 and then it will be 3, and after that the else statement will also execute because it will print the ending loop after printing all the statements. So in this program never a break statement executes due to this range 1, 2 and 3, and we will get the output element is 1, 2 and 3, and after that statement also will execute. But suppose if the range goes greater than 8, in that case this break statement will execute and it will not allow printing of this sequence. You can try this code, and after that again you increase this 4 to 14 and again you try this code. So what output I will show, that is in the case of this, but when you will make this value greater than 8, this else part will not be there. Why? Because this break statement will execute and it will terminate the loop. I will show you output here. So here you are getting the output for element value 1, 2 and 3. After that else part is also executing, but this else part will not execute when the value a modulus 8 equal to 0 is satisfied and break statement executes. In that case this ending loop after printing all element will not appear on the screen. Now the next topic is nested loop. A loop may contain another loop in its body. This form of the loop is called a nested loop. But in a nested loop, the inner loop must terminate before the outer loop. For example, here you can see a nested loop. Here is having the outer loop for, which is having this print statement after the loop, and this loop for j is inside the outer loop. So this is your outer loop and this is your inner loop. Outer loop is having a range from 0 to 6 and the inner loop is having a range from 1 to I, and this is not having from 0. You can see here it is having from 1, and it is also starting from 1. It will be terminated up to 6 minus 1, but it will be terminated I minus 1, where the value of I is taken from here. So one loop in another loop is known as nested loop. A nested loop, a break statement will terminate the every loop it appears in. That is, if the break statement is inside the inner loop, then only the inner loop will terminate when the break statement here in the inner loop will execute, but outer loop will keep on executing. In this type of nested loop, outer loop execute once, then inner loop completes all the iteration, then the outer loop will go to next iteration. Let me explain you that for I equal to 1, j will be equal to 1 and I minus, that is 0. So suppose this loop is starting from 1 to 6 and this loop is starting from 1 to 5. Then for the value of I equal to 1, this loop will run for 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And again, when the value of I will become 2, then this j will be 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 again. So for every value of I, the value of j will be from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So inner loop will execute fully all the iterations for every value of the loop variable I. In this way, the total number of times loop executes is equal to the outer range multiplied by the inner range. Hope you understand this nested loop. Thanks for watching. Keep on watching, keep on learning. Till then, bye bye. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you. Hope you will press the like and subscribe button. Bye bye.